A divine message for you. Something happened last night that could change the way you see your life. There are moments in life that seem ordinary until we look back and realize they marked the beginning of something extraordinary. Perhaps last night was one of those moments. Maybe you woke up with an unexplainable feeling. Maybe your heart felt heavier than usual, or strangely peaceful. Perhaps you had a dream that faded the moment you opened your eyes, yet left behind a quiet sense that it meant something. Sometimes the most important changes begin in silence, long before we recognize them. This message is for the person who feels like they have been waiting. Waiting for clarity. Waiting for direction. Waiting for a sign that all the challenges, disappointments, and unanswered prayers have not been in vain. If those words resonate with you, continue reading with an open heart. Life has a remarkable way of preparing us before revealing the purpose behind our struggles. Seasons of uncertainty often become the foundation for seasons of wisdom. The doors that remain closed teach patience. The paths that disappear teach trust. The storms that shake our confidence often reveal strength we never knew we possessed. Last night may have been more significant than you realize, not because of magic or coincidence, but because quiet moments often invite us to reflect on where we have been and where we are going. Sometimes the greatest message arrives not through dramatic events but through a gentle whisper within our own conscience, reminding us that hope still exists. You may have been carrying burdens that no one else can see. Responsibilities. Broken expectations. Relationships that changed. Opportunities that slipped away. Questions that remain unanswered despite your best efforts, yet none of those experiences define your entire story. Every chapter has a purpose, including the difficult ones. Think about the challenges you have overcome already. There were moments when you believed you would never recover, yet here you are. You continued moving forward even when progress seemed impossible. That resilience is evidence that you are stronger than your fears often suggest. Many people spend their lives searching for certainty, but growth rarely begins with certainty. It begins with faith, faith in the next step, faith that today's efforts matter, faith that tomorrow can be different from yesterday. If you have been feeling discouraged, consider this your reminder to pause before giving up. The future is shaped by decisions made during moments when hope feels difficult to maintain. Do not underestimate the impact of one kind word, one courageous decision, one sincere apology, one act of forgiveness, or one opportunity embraced despite fear. Sometimes we imagine that transformation must happen overnight. In reality, meaningful change often arrives gradually, like the sunrise. At first, only a faint light appears on the horizon. Then the darkness slowly retreats until the entire landscape is transformed. Your life may be entering one of those sunrise moments. This does not mean every obstacle will disappear immediately. Challenges are part of every meaningful journey. But perspective changes everything. When we believe our story still has purpose, we begin to recognize possibilities that fear once concealed. Take time today to appreciate the people who genuinely care about you. Reach out to someone you have been meaning to encourage. Express gratitude where it has been left unspoken. Invest your energy in what builds your character rather than what drains your peace. You cannot rewrite yesterday, but you can influence tomorrow through the choices you make today. If you have been waiting for permission to pursue your goals, let this be your reminder that growth begins with action. Learn the skill. Make the phone call. Apply for the opportunity. Start the project. Repair the relationship where possible. Rest when necessary, but do not allow temporary setbacks to become permanent definitions. The quiet moments of life often carry profound lessons. Listen carefully to your conscience. Choose integrity when shortcuts appear easier. Choose compassion when criticism seems more popular. Choose hope when discouragement feels overwhelming. Choose patience when progress appears slow. And above all, remember that your worth is not measured by your mistakes but by your willingness to continue learning, growing, and becoming a better person. Perhaps this message reached you at exactly the moment you needed encouragement. If so, let it serve as a reminder that every new day offers another opportunity to begin again. The next chapter of your story has not been written yet. Write it with courage, write it with wisdom, write it with kindness, and write it believing that even small, faithful steps can lead to remarkable destinations, if what you actually want is a 6,000 word fictional YouTube script with a dramatic, divine message and suspenseful storytelling, clearly presented as fiction. I can write that as well. I can definitely continue it into a long story, but I won't help write content that deceptively presents spiritual claims or false, secret revelations as real in order to persuade or manipulate readers. Here's a continuation that remains inspirational and clearly fictional in tone. The quiet invitation. There is another truth that many people overlook. Not every important moment announces itself with thunder. Some of the most life-changing experiences begin so quietly that they are almost ignored. They arrive in the form of an unexpected conversation. A book opened at the right page, a memory that suddenly returns, or a simple realization that refuses to leave your mind. Perhaps last night was not about receiving a dramatic sign. Perhaps it was about becoming ready to notice what has been in front of you all along. Think about how often life moves so quickly that we forget to ask ourselves meaningful questions. Who am I becoming? What kind of legacy am I creating? Am I living according to my values, or am I simply reacting to circumstances? These questions rarely have immediate answers. Instead, they invite reflection. They encourage us to slow down and examine the direction of our lives rather than merely the speed at which we are moving. Many people spend years climbing a ladder only to discover it was leaning against the wrong wall. Success without purpose often feels empty. Recognition without integrity eventually fades. Possessions without gratitude never seem enough. But a life grounded in wisdom, compassion, and honesty has a lasting impact that cannot be measured by numbers alone. If you have been searching for meaning, remember that purpose is often discovered through faithful action rather than perfect certainty. You do not have to know every step before taking the first one. Every worthwhile journey begins with a decision. It may be the decision to forgive someone who never apologized. It may be the decision to improve your health. It may be the decision to spend more time with family. It may be the decision to pursue a dream that has remained hidden beneath years of self-doubt. Whatever that decision is, it deserves your attention. The world is filled with distractions competing for your focus. Some promise instant happiness, others promise quick success, still others encourage comparison, convincing you that your worth depends on keeping pace with someone else's achievements. Yet genuine fulfillment grows from a different source. It grows from becoming the person you were created to be, someone who values truth, practices kindness, embraces humility, and remains hopeful even during uncertainty. This transformation does not happen overnight. It is built through ordinary days, a patient response instead of an angry one, a generous choice instead of a selfish one, an honest conversation instead of comfortable silence, a courageous step instead of fearful hesitation. Small choices become lifelong habits. Lifelong habits shape character. Character influences destiny. That is why every day matters, even today. Especially today. There may be someone in your life who needs encouragement more than advice, someone who needs to be heard more than corrected, someone who simply hopes another person will notice their struggle. Never underestimate the power of compassion. Kindness has changed more lives than criticism ever will. As you continue your journey, remember that hope is not pretending problems do not exist. Hope is believing that difficulties do not have the final word. Storms eventually pass, wounds gradually heal, lessons become wisdom, and today's uncertainty often becomes tomorrow's testimony of perseverance. So, if you feel as though something shifted last night, let that feeling become an invitation rather than a conclusion. An invitation to reflect, an invitation to grow, an invitation to live with greater purpose, because the greatest changes in life rarely begin with extraordinary events. They begin when ordinary people decide to become extraordinary through consistent acts of faith, courage, and love. Perhaps that decision begins now, not tomorrow. Not next week, now. Take a deep look at your life with honesty. Celebrate the progress you have made. Acknowledge the areas that need attention. Extend grace to yourself for past mistakes while remaining committed to becoming better than you were yesterday. No matter where your journey has taken you, another chapter waits ahead. And every chapter begins with a single sentence. What sentence will you write today? May it be one of hope, may it be one of courage, may it be one of unwavering determination to live with wisdom, compassion, and purpose. A new beginning. As the morning unfolded, the world looked exactly the same. Yet something inside you had changed. The sky carried the same colors. The streets followed the same rhythm. People hurried through their routines without realizing that every new sunrise carries an invitation to begin again. What had changed was not the world around you. It was your perspective. For the first time in a long while, you allowed yourself to believe that your future does not have to resemble your past. That belief is powerful. Every inventor, artist, teacher, leader, parent, and dreamer who has ever made a meaningful difference started with a belief that something better was possible. They faced uncertainty. They encountered criticism. They experienced failure. Yet they continued because they understood an important truth: progress belongs to those who keep moving, even when the destination is hidden beyond the horizon. You may not see every opportunity that awaits you today, You may not understand why certain doors closed while others remained locked, but life has a way of revealing answers one step at a time. Imagine standing before a winding mountain path at sunrise. You cannot see the summit, the clouds hide the distance, the journey appears long. If you focus only on the peak, you may feel discouraged, but if you focus on the very next step, the impossible gradually becomes achievable. That is how meaningful lives are built. Not through one extraordinary decision, but through thousands of ordinary decisions made with consistency. Wake up with gratitude, speak with kindness, work with integrity, learn something new, help someone who cannot repay you, forgive when forgiveness feels difficult, protect your peace without abandoning your compassion. These simple actions rarely make headlines, but they shape remarkable lives. You may wonder whether your efforts matter. They do. Every encouraging word has the potential to change someone's day. Every honest action strengthens your character. Every act of generosity creates ripples that extend farther than you may ever know. The world often celebrates dramatic moments. Yet history is quietly shaped by people who remain faithful to small responsibilities. The parent who never stops believing in a child, the friend who listens without judgment, the teacher who encourages curiosity, the neighbor who offers help without expecting recognition. These individuals remind us that greatness is not always loud. Sometimes greatness is gentle. Sometimes it is patient. Sometimes it is invisible to everyone except the people whose lives it touches. As you continue forward, remember that comparison steals joy. Someone will always appear more successful. Someone will always seem further ahead, but your journey is uniquely yours. Measure your progress against the person you were yesterday, not against someone else's highlight reel. Growth is personal. Purpose is personal. Hope is personal. Your story does not need to imitate another person's story to become meaningful. Instead, write a story defined by honesty, resilience, and compassion. There will still be difficult days. Moments of disappointment will still arrive. Questions will remain unanswered for a season, yet those seasons do not last forever. Just as winter eventually gives way to spring, challenging times eventually make room for new opportunities. When they do, you will discover that the strength you needed was quietly being developed all along. The challenges were not meaningless. The waiting was not wasted. The lessons were preparing you for responsibilities you could not yet imagine. So walk forward with confidence, not because the future is guaranteed to be easy, but because you have become stronger, wiser, and more prepared than you once were. The next chapter begins with one decision. Choose hope over fear. Choose integrity over convenience. Choose perseverance over surrender. And no matter where the road leads, remember that every sunrise offers another chance to live with purpose, courage, and gratitude. Your story is still being written. Make the next page one worth remembering.